Greetings. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Climate and Infrastructure Committee for November 7th, 2024. I'm Katie Cashman. I'm the chair of this committee. Before we begin, I want to offer a friendly reminder that these meetings are broadcast live and they include real-time captioning to increase the accessibility of our proceedings. So please be mindful of the rate of your speech so that our captioners can pick up all comments for the broadcast. At this time, we'll ask the clerk to call the roll so we can verify quorum of the meeting.
Councilmember Vita.
Present.
Osman is absent. Chavez.
Present.
Chowdhury.
Present.
Vice Chair Koski is absent. Chair Cashman.
Present.
There are 4 members present.
Great. Let the record reflect we have a quorum. I believe Councilmember Osman will be here soon. Vice Chair Koski will not be able to attend today. She has another commitment. So we'll start with our consent agenda, items 2 through 15. And we have one receive and file item that I will move with the consent agenda. So item 2 is approving a large block event permit for 2024 Holidazzle on Nicollet Mall between December 18th and December 22nd. Item 3 is approving a large block event permit for Welcome Downtown Target Core Week, which will be this month, November 18th through 21st, also on Nicollet Mall. Item 4 is authorizing a cooperative agreement with Metro Transit for mobility hub planning work all throughout the city. Item 5 is authorizing a cooperative agreement with MnDOT and Hennepin County for traffic signal work on Trunk Highway 121. Item 6 is authorizing acceptance of a grant from MnDOT for the Phillips Traffic Safety Project and Anderson United Safe Routes to School. Item 7 is accepting federal grant funding from the U.S. Department of Transportation and MnDOT for Safe Streets for All program. Item 8 is accepting federal and state transportation grant funding for city transportation projects. Item 9 is adopting the City of Minneapolis and Park Board Stormwater Management Program. Item 10 is concurring with the city engineer's variance request for the Whittier International Elementary Safe Routes to School project. And item 11 is authorizing submittal of a grant application for site development of a local biochar production facility. Item 12 is adjusting the capital improvement program application and revenue for construction change orders. Item 13 is authorizing the submission of an application for federal transportation funds through the 2025 RAISE program. Item 14 is authorizing the submission of an application for the IIJA match program. Item 15 is setting a public hearing on November 21st to consider the extension of the gas franchise agreement. And finally, item 16 is receiving and filing an update on the progress of the 2024 to 2025 C&I Committee work plan. Any discussion on items 2 through 16 or items to pull for further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll move approval of all of the consent agenda items, including receiving and filing item number 16. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Those items are approved. So next we'll take up our public hearing item. This item is passage of an ordinance amending provisions related to boulevards, and I will actually call on Councilmember Palmisano to introduce the work on this before we begin the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Cashman, for welcoming me to your committee this afternoon, and thank you, colleagues, for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce this proposed ordinance. I want to mention Councilmember Chowdhury is also an author. We're modernizing this boulevard ordinance to reflect the increased interest in boulevard gardens, as well as we bring together several other things that happen on the city right-of-way. We have lots of random pieces of city property that just don't fall neatly into our usual understanding of what a boulevard is green space between a street and a pathway, but they're still public right-of-way. This ordinance can better define those areas as similar to boulevards, and then it can help us manage those spaces as a garden or improve them or help people who want to improve them. Right now, it's a pretty cumbersome process to get approval to garden on those random pieces of property. There are thousands of properties around the city where residents or property owners have installed some sort of garden already, most of which are technically out of compliance with our current regulations. Down in southwest Minneapolis, Bryant Avenue was recently reconstructed, and there are many areas of green stormwater infrastructure facilities in those boulevards. Nearby residents also wanted to beautify those areas, and it was through that desire and many other uses between neighbors across the city that I realized our existing ordinance is just out of step with current needs and it needs updating. So this ordinance provides a path to bring these gardens into compliance, and it gives a clear process describing allowable content by right and content by permit. I want to mention that with the help of Councilmember Chowdhury, this ordinance has already come a long way over the past couple weeks. We've both received feedback from the community and have worked with Public Works staff. We've changed the language to allow for fruits and vegetables as just labeling it as edible plants. Raised planter beds can be considered by a permit application. It's particularly important that these raised beds are part of a permit process so that our expert city staff can review the area and identify any conflicts with safety or access that might be required in our city right-of-way. We have an obligation to make sure that the boulevard allows access between the street and any other pathway. But an example of that is, again, on one of our newest streets. On Bryant, for example, our fire chief painstakingly looked at every single block with a ladder truck, every single property, to make sure that our larger emergency vehicles had the space to deploy their outriggers. And we need to be absolutely certain that some areas are clear of any structures. Shrubs and hedges can be considered now by permit application. Landscape rock is not allowed by right, but by permit, and the request can be reviewed for appropriateness by our city staff. So I also want to point out that Public Works and our city attorney's office have now agreed to waive permit application fees for raised planter beds in green zones. This reflects our commitment to repairing harm for people that have experienced environmental racism and underinvestment across our city. Revising this ordinance has been an effort across all of Public Works, Homegrown Minneapolis, Reg Services, and Park Board Forestry. And I just want to thank everybody for their work today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great. I guess we'll ask, is there going to be a presentation, or are we going to just start our public hearing and then discussion?
My understanding is Mr. Handelin is here for a presentation.
All right. That sounds great. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Chair Cashman. Thank you, Councilmember Palmisano, for that good, accurate introduction. Members of the committee, my name is Jeff Handeland. I'm a principal professional engineer in the Transportation Engineering Design Division of Public Works. I oversee encroachment permitting in the public right-of-way. I feel like I don't have to really give much more introduction than Councilmember Palmisano did. Maybe I'll just emphasize just a couple things.
Sorry, 1 second. Could we switch the presentation? I think this is, this is on your end then. If you could switch the PowerPoint to I think this is the wrong presentation.
Oh, sorry, I didn't prepare any slides, so I was
no
just going to
slides.
give a brief. Perfect.
Great, then we're all set.
Chair. Okay.
Yeah, please proceed.
Okay, thank you, Chair Cashman. So I'll just give a brief version here and to emphasize a couple things. This is the public hearing on amending Title 17, Chapter 427 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances relating to streets, specifically the part of the street defined as the boulevard. Generally speaking, the boulevard is a part of the public right-of-way between the road and the private property that's not occupied by driveways, sidewalks, or other pathways. The proposed amendment allows more than the current ordinance allows. I just want to make sure that's clear. Fruits and vegetables there's currently no provision allowing fruits and vegetables in the boulevard, and stones are also currently not allowed in the boulevard. So with this amendment, vegetables and other edible plants are proposed to be allowed without a permit, and stones are proposed to be allowed with a permit. In the interest of public safety, some restrictions apply. And as Councilmember Palmisano mentioned, I recommend requiring a permit for more permanent items, including raised planters and hedges and shrubs and bushes. So we have a chance to review for access needs and safety considerations. Also wanted to just point out that some details not covered in this ordinance will be answered in a user guide that I'm working with the homegrown section of the health department on. So if, there'll be a more user-friendly online resource for property owners to consult rather than just relying on this ordinance to for all the guidance they need. I think with that, in summary, this amendment will not allow everything, but it will allow more than the current ordinance allows. And together with the Boulevard User Guide and future discussions, and evaluation of fruit bushes and raised planter beds that I commit to making with the Edible Boulevard gardening community, this amendment is what Public Works needs to start allowing alternative ground cover and edible boulevards. So Public Works' recommendation is to approve this ordinance amendment. I'll stay nearby in case there are any questions.
All right, thank you so much for the presentation. I think we'll do a public hearing and then have a discussion, and you can come back at that point. I'll now open the public hearing. There has no one that has signed up, but if there is anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this, you can please come forward. Come on up.
Okay.
Yeah, please state your name, and then you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my first ever. I am Tessie Cohen Brown, and I am a not quite retired studio musician. My husband and I moved to North Minneapolis, and we've already started kind of a little program with growing vegetables and fruit. Hopefully not on the boulevard, but on the fence to the house. And it was, by the way, it was a boarded up drug house. It was, and we took it over 4 years ago, and we've been working on it for 4 years, restoring it and putting in like a French farmhouse garden. You're welcome to come over, 1231. Everyone else seems to hang out. And we put a fence, and it's got a really nice wrought iron gate. And hopefully we can work with the community, because we're in a food desert. And this summer we harvested a really small amount of broccoli and okra and 13 raspberry bushes, mulberry. Like I'm from LA, so via Puerto Rico, because my parents are originally from Puerto Rico, so I'm a New Yorican. And so I know the importance of community, and there's a big need in North Minneapolis to have someone come in and kind of bring everyone together. And hopefully we can do it. We're both, my husband and I are both musicians. We're, Motown folks. So it's cool because we jam and we and we provide the neighborhood with, that kind of connection through music. So it's been good. It's been cool. And we've got a really good response. And that's my time. Bye.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Okay.
Anyone else who'd like to speak on this? Please come forward.
Chair Cashman, council members, my name is Nikki Carlson. I live at 1717 DuPont Avenue North in Ward 5 in North Minneapolis, and I participated in the Edible Boulevards program, and I'm here to speak in favor of these changes to the laws or the rules or whatever to allow raised beds. I worked with Michelle Shaw, who is incredible, and she helped us do soil tests. And I live right across the street from Ascension Church and School, and one part of my boulevard, she started with soil tests. I could plant, and the other I couldn't. So, but we have peppers and tomatoes and onions, and it's a wonderful program. Michelle's life and yard is taken over with it, and her car and garage, I'm sure, and it's just been wonderful. She provided plants and fertilizer and wood chips, and it's an incredible program. So I'm 100% in favor of using the boulevards for this, and good work. I'm in favor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your testimony as well. Anyone else who wants to speak on this, please come forward.
Madam Chair, can I interrupt for just a moment? Could those who have spoken and will speak please stop by the clerk to sign in?
Good flag.
Do you want me to sign in first?
You can speak first and then sign in.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Cashman and committee members, for giving me the opportunity to speak here. This is also my first time doing anything like this. My name is Amy Dare Waller. I live at 3659 Polk Street Northeast. I am a stay-at-home mom of 3 very young boys, so I'm very busy, and it was important, but it was really important for me to make the time to be here today and just let you know as a Minneapolis resident that I am strongly in favor of the ordinance changing to allow food to be grown on the boulevards. I would also say that I'd just like to encourage you all to consider guidelines that make it as easy as possible for people to grow food. So I know I can understand the reasoning behind permitting for raised beds, but if there's a way for residents to be given guidelines for how they could be built safely instead of requiring a permit, or if permits are going to be required, for that process to be as easy and streamlined as possible, because raised beds are a great option for people who maybe can't plant directly into the soil due to pollution, but also a great option for people who might have mobility issues and are able to get down on the ground to plant or harvest food. So making it as easily as possible for people to have that kind of access is really important to me. I guess the other thing, I read through the ordinance changes, and it wasn't clear to me if like food-bearing bushes, trees, and shrubs would be allowed without a permit, or like when they might be allowed or when they might not be allowed. So just being like, I just think it should be really clear, and hopefully that they would just be allowed for people to plant bushes and shrubs if they're bearing fruit or vegetables, and then make it as easy as possible for people to plant trees. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you as well for being here, and thanks for your testimony. And then just go sign up over there with Clerk Kendall. Welcome up.
Hi, my name is Michelle Shaw. I'm a member of the Northside Green Zone Task Force, and I have an initiative called Minneapolis Edible Boulevards, where we teach people how to grow food safely on their boulevard, and we offer free cooking classes once a month. Since 2019, I have been working with community and council members in the green zones to change the ordinance so that it's clear that we're allowed to grow food on the boulevards, ensure raised beds are allowed, and to expand the kinds of food that we can grow with fruit shrubs and bushes. And the intent of the 2014 ordinance was to allow food to be grown. Unfortunately, it never got communicated that way to community members. The ordinance that you have before you will do just that. And I want to point out, and second, what Amy just talked about. Allowing raised beds without permits is essential. Putting permits out there is a barrier for people, so a barrier for people who live in our green zones, who are already low income, who are working 2 or 3 jobs, a barrier for people with disabilities, a barrier for the elderly. So it's just putting another thing in place where people aren't going to do it because it's something else that they have to do, so they're not going to grow food. So please remove that permit so that people can have the right, we all should have the right to grow food in the way that best suits our needs. The other thing is one of our partners, Elder Hope Flanagan of Dream of Wild Health, reminded us about the changing climate and its impact on all of our relatives as we spoke about this topic at our Indigenous Food Network meetings over the last few months. And this is why we urge City Council to add a climate impact section to each ordinance, so you can see at a glance if the ordinance is doing harm and if it needs to be revisited because of climate change. This year, as you know, we had both drought and flooding impacting so many plants and animals differently. Also, if you can clarify the mulch piece and where that's going to be allowed, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your testimony and for all your work on edible boulevards. Anyone else who wants to speak during this public hearing? All right. Thank you so much for those who came today and for prompting a lot of great questions. I'll now close the public hearing and invite Jeff back up for discussion and questions from council members. Who wants to start?
Councilmember, can I, the city clerk, can you note that my present and also count my vote on consent agenda?
Sorry about that,
No,
Councilmember.
that's fine, that's fine.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Councilmember Cashman, and thank you, Mr. Hanlon, for all your work on this, and thank you to Don Elwood as well, and all the members of the Public Works team, and thank you to all of the people on the green zones that have been a part of this for a really long time. I just have some set of questions. Some of it is just like helping clarify some of the questions that was brought up in the public hearing, specifically around the fruits and vegetables that can be grown. There's a question on like what restrictions are placed, how much can we do? And I know that within the ordinance, there's restrictions placed on height and thorns, and just wanted to give you a chance to speak to that a little bit.
Thank you, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury, for that question. So for regarding fruit bushes, you know, I do anticipate allowing some fruit bushes with a permit. I do recommend requiring a permit so that staff has a chance to review the type of bush and location where it's proposed, to see if we can help make sure that that doesn't pose a tripping hazard. Sometimes my staff does receive complaints from the public about overgrown bushes and hedges. So I don't have a set of guidelines that I can just produce today, but I am planning on working with Homegrown Minneapolis to put that Boulevard user guide online, and then I do anticipate being able to approve permits for fruit bushes and not charging a permit fee for property owners in one of the either of the city established green zones.
Okay, thank you. I think I'll just share my understanding was different kind of coming into this committee with the change to allow for other vegetation. I think like one of the things that I have heard pretty clearly from community is the importance for people to be able to grow those fruit bushes and shrubs without the need for a permit. I know we're gonna probably get into a discussion about the raised beds. I kind of see the logistical considerations from the Public Works Department around permitting for raised beds, if we're thinking about consistency and safety of like how they're built. I also appreciate the waiving of fees for permitting for the green zones. I know we'll probably talk about that, but personally, with the fruit shrubs, I would be interested in getting into a further discussion about what it would mean if the shrubs were only had the regulations that were already devolved upon it within the ordinance around height and thorns. And my understanding is if we see some sort of planting that's above the height requirement, someone could complain 311 and then Public Works would have to respond to that. Is that the anticipated response?
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury, that's correct. When we get a complaint that's seems to be a complaint for legitimate public safety or well-being or city operations, and that if that is, particularly if it's in conflict with ordinance, then we have to review that and take action.
Okay, great. And then I was wondering, Mr. Hanlon, if you could kind of speak a little bit to the conversation around mulch. I know that there's added language that we put in saying that only mulch free of dyes and other treatment is allowed to cover ground between vegetation clusters. If you could speak to it a little bit further of how it relates to the entirety of the Boulevard ordinance.
Yes, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury. So with respect to wood mulch, the ordinance amendment does allow some limited locations and amounts of wood mulch if it is double shredded hardwood bark mulch that is full of that is free from dyes and naturally sourced. So in general, wood chips and other wood materials can potentially be washed away by storms. However, when wetted, the double shredded hardwood bark mulch material forms a mat that resists being washed away by rain. So this material is used for ground cover in rain gardens to prevent erosion, suppress weeds, and significantly enhance plant survival. The Surface Waters and Sewers Division of Public Works is providing guidance on using double shredded hardwood mulch, and I plan to work with Homegrown Minneapolis section of the Health Department to incorporate or link to that guidance from the Boulevard user guide we're developing.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciated the addition of this language into the ordinance. I think it is environmentally very considerate and appreciate the community members that brought that up into the fold so we can have it incorporated. My last question is getting an understanding of once this ordinance passes, we know that people have been growing fruits and vegetables already within boulevards. We know that people have planter beds already. And I don't think we should be penalizing them for having that. As one of the testifiers said, many places in the city there's not an offering around fresh fruits and vegetables, and a lot of people are filling that need in their community. And so I just wanted to ask, what's Public Works' thought process in working with community members that might already have planter beds, might already be planting edible gardens and boulevards?
Thank you, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury. Yes, so I would anticipate that many of those existing vegetables and edible plants growing in the boulevard will become allowed by the provision in this ordinance. As far as items that would continue to require a permit, our enforcement system for these things is complaint-based. So if there's a complaint about an item that's currently in the boulevard, then we would respond to that by investigating and seeing if it might be able to comply with the current ordinance, and perhaps contact that property owner and ask them if they would care to apply for a permit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll just conclude by saying I want and I hope that Public Works will make a commitment in leaning into helping people get to compliance rather than penalizing them. It sounds like that just based off of your remarks. We want people to be able to have raised beds and plant edible gardens, and that was a part of why I suggested not having it as a prohibited use and just encouraging it for permitting. I know we're going to discuss that, but I just see a future here with edible boulevards and raised beds where we can really put some thought behind it around giving money for programming down the line so people, especially in the green zones, can be encouraged to grow fruits and vegetables and raised beds and really think about what it means to address food deserts in this way. So I'm just excited for this ordinance, excited for the discussion that we're going to have here, and just thank you again for working with me, and thank you to Councilmember Palmisano for welcoming me in as a co-author to this ordinance as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury. I'll next call on Councilmember Chavez and then Councilmember Osman.
Thank you, Chair Cashman. I do have a few questions. So there is a component I that says responsibilities, except where specifically defined otherwise by ordinance, the owner of the property abutting the boulevard is responsible for maintaining the boulevard in compliance with the requirement of sections. It lists a variety of sections. Can you explain to me what those sections are and what they mean?
Yes, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chavez, I'll take a brief crack at that. And so that the sections, the other sections that references, the other ordinances it references are the ordinances that apply to people's non-boulevard private property. So basically what that is saying is, the requirements for mowing or maintaining natural managed native grass landscape, for example, can also apply to the boulevard. But if you don't, maintain your boulevard with that similar standard you do to your private property, then, like the coordinating with the regulatory services division, they can contact you and enforce that on the boulevard as well as your private property.
Thank you. If I'm reading this correctly, it feels like this is our enforcement mechanism, part of it for the ordinance, and it seems like if there are concerns in the community about requiring a permit for raised beds, and now, based on what I'm hearing, bushes and shrubs, that we can use this part of the ordinance to enforce that anyways, and there shouldn't be concerns about folks having raised beds without a permit. So I think my question is, I'm gonna have to dive deeper into those specific sections, but it seems like there is already an enforcement arm if we're concerned about someone being out of compliance with a raised bed. So I guess that's a comment. So I just want to thank Councilmember Palmisano and Councilmember Chowdhury for working with staff on this ordinance. I think I have a few things that I still want to address in this ordinance. I want to make sure that, one, I don't really see a need for a permit for raised beds. I think this is something that folks are already doing. I think we have a complaint-based system in the city of Minneapolis that we can simply use for this particular issue across the city. I want to see what the plan is if we are going to move forward with the permit to engage with folks that speak different languages that maybe aren't familiar with the city's process on applying for a permit. Sometimes applications that residents are given are in English and not in Spanish or different languages. So I'd like to see a more thoughtful plan on how we're going to engage with communities that English isn't their first language when it comes to accessing these permit applications to, or if it's online, to get a raised bed. So I have a lot of questions in regards to this particular ordinance, but I hope that we can address them. But I also want to make a comment that I don't think I really see a need for a permit for raised beds. I think it should be allowed across our city without a permit, but that's giving my 2 cents. Other than that, and for bushes and shrubs, I don't think I see a need for that either, but thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next is Councilmember Osman.
Maybe I'll ask. Just to clarify two things. Where we are allowing is between the sidewalk and the property, that grass, front yard grass, or is it right in the middle of the road, like the divider? Trying to get a visual picture of what.
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Osman, it is not right in the divider or physical median of the road. It is in all the spaces between the curb and the private property that are not occupied by a sidewalk, driveway, or other pathway.
Okay. All right. One other question. I am a little concerned with the safety of the food itself that's growing because it's outside, open to space. Was the health department consulted with this, or I'm also actually, I mean, depending on what neighborhood you live, I mean, if you grow so much food and you wake up in the morning, it's all gone. So it's also it's it's the risk of it. But just wondering if the health department had any input on this creation of ordinance.
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Osman, I can't give a substantial answer to that other than I have coordinated with the health department in developing this ordinance, and perhaps hearing that question, we can keep that in mind when developing the Boulevard user guide.
Thank you.
Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilmember Palmisano and Chowdhury, for this. As a gardener, I really appreciate any opportunities for folks to get out and garden and grow vegetables and fruit. And so this is great. I am concerned, though, about the use of mulch. With the stormwater, I know that there's some very specific mulch that you all have said we are going to use. I just don't know people to be that specific with mulch. I think like people go to the store and they buy what's on sale, or they buy, like mulch is mulch. You're saying we're going to use like a very specific kind of mulch. There's going to be no way to monitor rather if someone used that or not. And it's concerning because of stormwater, because of the drains. Like I myself in North Minneapolis, we have young kids who go around and clean the drains, and there's already enough stuff in there. So the mulch is a little concern. The use of mulch is a little concerning for me, and I'm just wondering like what is I mean, I know what mulch is used for, but like why do we think we need to amend to permit it?
So, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Vita, currently, no wood mulch is not allowed without a permit. I recommend allowing some limited quantities of it so that people have an option for some alternative ground cover on the required spaces between Boulevard Garden vegetable areas that we're going to require. But if people want to place larger quantities of wood mulch, I do recommend requiring a permit for that, related to the concern that you stated.
So they'll just have to pay for a permit and hopefully use the proper mulch and use it correctly.
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Vita, I think yes, and if they apply for a permit, we'll have an opportunity to have them show us the material, or the type of material that they propose to use.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vita. And yeah, just following up on this mulch question. So currently the use of mulch is allowed anywhere on the boulevard, or it's permitted?
Chair
Currently.
Cashman, that's correct. Currently, we can allow wood mulch with a permit.
Okay, I think some of the specific instances I'm thinking about are actually on Nicollet Mall, where there's a lot of mulched areas and medians, and there's been a lot of feedback about that as a design choice downtown, like mulch versus plants. But yeah, do you know if those spaces on Nicollet Mall are permitted currently?
Chair Cashman, I don't have that specific answer on hand. I can
Okay.
follow up with that.
Sure, I'd be interested in that. I do have a couple of other questions and comments. One other question is about how we're defining weed, because there is it seems on this ordinance a prohibition of weeds, but I think that's a very loose term that, would be very hard to enforce or define, and especially with new invasive species and climate change, et cetera. So what is the thinking about the use of the word weed here?
Chair Cashman, my thinking is that this definition of weeds I think it has a lot similar in the current definition, but just make some revisions to make it clear that plants with thorns, spines, sharp ridges, parts or similar noxious weeds are prohibited. We don't want, the public to have to traverse weeds with sharp parts.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about anything other than just the danger of like stinging nettle or thistle or something else that could be dangerous.
Chair Cashman, in my mind, your statement is correct. There may have been others that I coordinated with that had even, additional considerations in the interest of the public I'm not thinking of at the moment.
Okay. I also have a question for Councilmember Palmisano, because I know you said that the Park Board or Urban Forestry Department was worked with, and can you say a little bit more about how those conversations went? I see trees are very minimally mentioned here, and I know that's probably for a reason, but wondering how that went.
Actually, I'm going to have Mr. Handelin answer that question. I will say, generally speaking, if you're planting your own tree on the boulevard, you need a tree permit today. And so forestry comes out and they just simply make sure that the type of tree you're growing enhances our tree canopy and doesn't grow in such a way to obstruct the sidewalk or create a nuisance condition. We also look at, forestry rather, also looks at its distance from driveways and other sightline kinds of concerns. Another aspect of that, and this is something that I've had to wrestle with in the past personally, is my boulevard is no longer considered wide enough to plant a tree, so the park board isn't going to use taxpayer resources to do such a thing, but they will allow me with a tree permit to give it a go. That's what happened when my sick tree had to be cut down on the boulevard. So tree permits are necessary for safety reasons, similar to how we're saying that if flagged, we do need permits because we might need to ask people to move those raised beds to somewhere where they're not going to create a safety hazard, whether a sightline thing that isn't always apparent to the person doing it, or other kinds of needs just to create safety in the city right of way. So also it's really important that we do well by way of this guidelines document because, as you might imagine, raised beds are extremely heavy to move and it just takes a lot of time. You have to excavate them, move them to an appropriate place, and then refill them. So similarly to mulch, mulch is hard to remove and then put in other types of mulch, but this is just this would be a complaint-based model in terms of that. We're not monitoring people, but I want to ask Mr. Handelin the answer to other work they've perhaps done with forestry.
Yes, Chair Cashman and Councilmember Palmisano, thank you for that question. So as I think Councilmember Palmisano said, in order to plant trees, property owners will continue to need to get a permit from the Minneapolis Park Board Forestry Office. And I can also add, in case it helps from my court coordinating this ordinance amendment with Park Board Forestry, they added the part that tilling and digging using mechanized equipment is prohibited when planting within the drip line of a boulevard tree, and no tree roots can be cut to allow planting. And they also support the 3-foot clearance from tree and planting vegetables because the likelihood of either shallow soils or roots at the surface is much higher in this zone, and success of other plants, including turf, is even sometimes difficult.
Thanks for that additional context from the park board. One other question that I had was about the height chosen for permitted flowers. It says vegetation within 3 feet of any fixed objects, including fire hydrants, shall be no taller than 18 inches. Why is 18 inches chosen?
Chair Cashman, 18 inches is for sightline purposes of thinking of like a person in a vehicle, for example, trying to have a very good opportunity to see something like a child or somebody in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm. But raised beds higher than that would be allowed, correct?
Chair Cashman, we would, I recommend requiring a permit so that we could review what's proposed for the configuration and location of each raised planting bed, because I haven't, in part because I haven't developed a full set of guidelines for the configurations, and there may be some locations that any planting bed might be in conflict with sight lines or access or particular tripping hazard, for example.
Okay, are there other comments, Councilmember Chowdhury?
Thank you, Councilmember Cashman. I was just taking a look at the language of the ordinance again, because I was just like wondering why I had the understanding that fruit shrubs would not require a permit. And that's what I think should be the way that we look at fruit shrubs. And then if there's a complaint on height or the wrong type of shrub, right, that should go through 311. And I'll read this out loud, and Mr. Hanlon, maybe you can help me in this, or maybe we need to make a clarification within the language. So we added on the first section C on vegetation, the growing or planting of flowers and vegetables and other edible plants, grass, trees, hedges, and shrubs is allowed as provided herein. Flowers, edible plants, which would be the fruit shrubs, other vegetation. And then then below, there's a section 3 where it's weeds, noxious weeds, hedges, and shrubs. And it lays out the thorn spines, that being prohibited. And then prohibiting the planting of hedges, shrubs, or other similar types of vegetation unless a permit. So in this ordinance, how it's written, what I read it as is if it's a fruit shrub, if it's an edible plant, it's allowed provided those factors. And then it sounds like the other type of shrub that's not prohibited unless it's a permit is a shrub that wouldn't grow fruits or vegetables. Because we're allowing for edible shrubs at the top of it in section C, and then we go down to section 3, and then we're saying another type of shrub that I would argue is not edible is prohibited unless by permit.
Chair.
I'll just say this. I'm just trying to also save us in the case that we might not need to make an amendment if that's already the language. That's the goal of the language.
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury. So we do currently allow some shrubs and hedges and bushes by permit, and I would recommend keeping that way. I think we can clarify some of this in the Boulevard user guide. I think this ordinance amendment gives Public Works what we would need to proceed with that user guide, and guiding people what they can do with a permit and without a permit. I'll also offer, in case it might help, is that Allison Babb from the Health Department could maybe provide some additional helpful information.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Chair Cashman and Councilmember Chowdhury. I just wanted to clarify, so plants are different than shrubs in that shrubs are woody by definition. So if the language in the ordinance is edible plants, that would not include shrubs because shrubs are woody. And so does that clarify at all?
The language still says that shrubs are allowed as provided, and it talks about flowers, edible plants, grass, other vegetation. So that's the confusion within the language, because it very clearly says shrubs are allowed, and then it goes into flowers, edible plants. And it would be good to know how we're getting the definition of edible plant as well, because what I'm reading as a definition of edible plant is that a plant has parts that are safe to eat and are not poisonous.
So I know there's been many revisions to the ordinance just this week. I'm wondering if some of the changes may have resulted in an unintended consequence around the shrubs. I will defer to Jeff about that. But I did want to mention while I'm here that some edible shrubs can get to be, with the ones that don't contain thorns can get to be up to 6 feet tall or perhaps taller. I'm just using currants as an example. So if you think about height, that's something that council members may want to consider as you craft the final ordinance.
Thank you.
Did you have any more comments, Councilmember Chowdhury?
No, I'll just say it sounds like, yeah, we're gonna have to do a little bit of work before it gets to the final place to clarify that part, probably.
I agree, and I'm actually going to motion to delay this a cycle, because I think that we could do that work in committee together rather than bringing it to full council and doing that work within this cycle. I think that we could still have more conversations about some of these permitting and height restrictions. I personally don't think that we should require permits for shrubs. I don't think we should require permits for raised beds. I think permits are a barrier, and our goal here is to encourage people to use the boulevard, to beautify the boulevard, to plant and grow food in the boulevard, and any kind of permitting process bureaucracy is going to be a barrier, especially to people who English isn't their first language. And, if we're going to waive permit fees for the green zones, then I'm going to want to waive fees for my ward too, Ward 7, which is not in a green zone, because, again, we want people to be doing this work. We're in a climate crisis. We're in planetary crisis, and we want people to be planting in all of the spaces that we have in our city. So those are some things that I'd like to work on with colleagues, and I'll ask if there's a second on the motion to delay a cycle so we can do that work. All right, any other feedback on questions or comments on that motion? Councilmember Chowdhury.
I just wanted to see, because I know we do it pretty consistently whenever we do a delay on impact of work. My assumption is that there isn't like a tight deadline that we're trying to get around when it comes to the boulevard ordinance that we're heading up against. There's no like state legislation that leads us to there, and just wanted to double check that with Mr. Hanlon.
Good question. Yeah.
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury, there's no such deadline. I'll just mention that one option could be approving the ordinance and that much sooner allowing things we aren't allowing. And then seeing how administering that goes, and possibly coming back if it's still desired to allow even more.
Okay, thank you for your feedback. Yeah, I'm in a place where I'm like, it sounds like there's parts of this we can still bake, especially that part we needed to clarify. So I'll support your motion to delay.
All right. We also have, the cold weather months coming up for work on the user manual, which I think is a really good idea. And so I don't think that there's a time crunch right now to get the ordinance passed this cycle. So on the motion to delay this to the next C&I committee meeting, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you, Councilmember Palmisano, for being here too. All right, so our final item is receiving and filing a report back on both the Transportation Action Plan and the Racial Equity Framework for Transportation. Here to present is Kathleen Mayel, Transportation Planning Supervisor in Public Works.
Good afternoon, Chair Cashman and committee members. My name is Kathleen Mayel. I'm a Transportation Planning Supervisor in Transportation Planning and Programming, and I'm happy to be here on behalf of the many, many people whose work I'm going to be presenting on tonight, or this afternoon, sorry, not night yet. And, needless to say, certainly more than 100 plus people all contribute here, and in particular want to give a recognition to both Bria Fast and Gustav Stewart, who helped pull together this presentation. So this is the second time I've given a report back on the Transportation Action Plan, and we, 4 years into the Transportation Action Plan, can really start to see how this plan is impacting our streets and how we do our business. I'll start by sharing some of the framing and challenges that we are working with. So this remains, as it was intended to be, an ambitious vision for 10 years for our city streets. It is not fiscally constrained, and many of the actions of the 325 actions within the plan rely upon coordinated actions by our partner agencies, be it state, county, park board, and so on. There have been pieces of current reality that continue to reflect how we are able to achieve the different actions set out and goals within this plan. We are kind of settling into a post-COVID norm when it comes to work culture and hybrid work. That shows up in our transit trends that we see, where we see a more dispersed travel transit time throughout the time of day, as well as Saturday and Sunday travel, with transit picking up a bit and less of that rush hour peakiness, which has impacts to how we're able to deliver. There have been a suite of things that we've done, some of which we'll touch on here today, of planning and policy work on our infrastructure and how we deliver infrastructure within the city, including Chapter 54 stormwater ordinance, the parkway paving, ADA ramp construction, and so on. And we've all seen also the rising infrastructure costs, which has impacts on our ability to deliver. So first, I'll go into some of the visual kind of highlights of our planning and policy work, and then projects, and end with more of the data parts. In 2023, City Council passed our Racial Equity Framework for Transportation, which is really a companion document to the TAP, and notably created our Transportation Equity Priority areas as a new way of looking at data, and that frames up a lot of, and you'll see how that has been now incorporated into our planning work as a department. So the Vision Zero Action Plan, we updated that in 2024, and some key highlights there were updating our high injury street map, which really helps us identify and prioritize investments on our most needed safety challenge streets. We were able to incorporate that new TEP score into how we prioritize within our Vision Zero Action Plan, and we updated our actions in our previous action plan, and this was really a catalyst and allowed us to set us up for success within our Safe Streets for All grant, securing $25 million of federal and state funds for that work. You can see the work of the Vision Zero Action Plan in hundreds of intersections and neighborhood traffic calming projects, and as well as the upcoming work around our traffic safety camera pilot that we have been briefing you all on. In 2024, we also updated our ADA transition plan for public works, which looks at the different accessibility barriers throughout our city and identifies how we are planning to meet those challenges. We have a new ADA and right-of-way administrative team within Public Works, which has really helped us get better data and tracking inspections for our ADA compliance. And we have completed more than half of the milestones within that planning work over these years. We have more than 40% of all curb ramps in the city are now ADA compliant, and over half of our signalized intersections in the city are ADA compliant with APS. In 2024, we also brought through the winter walking and biking study, and this outlines several key actions, which we will start deploying this winter around better, easier, more safe conditions for walking and biking in the city. Again, here's that Safe Streets for All grant and a brief outline of the scope there in terms of we will be addressing 25 miles of those high injury streets in the coming years, as well as safety improvements at 526 intersections. There's also a suite of planning, evaluation, and program work that will be accompanying or a part of that work. Our street design guide, which our team of planners and engineers use to deliver projects on our city streets. We've added a section on quick build safety treatments that is now part of our overarching guidance. We have launched the As You Go Minneapolis Mode Shift campaign. This communication education strategy is really aimed at helping us meet our mode shift goal. And we have deployed 2 out of the 3 years of this initial campaign. Last year focusing on Try It, so trying an alternate mode of transportation for at least 1 of your trips. And then in 2024, we focused on biking and with giving resources and tips on how to replace some trips with biking. Next year's focus will be on transit. We have also launched the As You Go event series. This past year, we held 3 grand opening events on Bryant, 29th Northeast, and the Green Central Safe Routes to School project. There were 2 loops as well that ran for a month and had a series of different rides and events. And we estimate that we have reached over 450 people this year through these different events, and we're able to engage in different conversations and share more about the infrastructure, design talks, and so on, and really got people, encouraged them to get out and try something new. In terms of green stormwater infrastructure, 150 different facilities have been installed. We've converted 2 acres of right-of-way over the last 2 years to green stormwater infrastructure. All of the all the projects that triggered Chapter 54 met the regulations. There was a sod pilot, native sod pilot, adopt a medium program that has been successful. And our reconstruction projects on average have adjusted kind of before and after 10 to 15% more pervious surface. So seeing impacts of those projects as well. In terms of our capital projects and transit priority, I'll go through these pretty quickly here. Some of these were touched on with the 20-year streets funding plan, but really a whole suite of Vision Zero projects. This is at 35th and 22nd. Those increased pedestrian safety. This is our Safe Routes to School Asphalt Art Grant end result. We were one of the 25 cities to get a Bloomberg Philanthropies grant to do this project, and was really supported by local residents. Great example there. Our City View Safe Routes to School project, which has resulted in slower speeds near this school to great success. Bryant, which we've certainly talked about here. We're seeing counts of over 750 daily bike riders on Bryant in the May through September timeframe. So a really great example of a safety project and increasing amenity and helping with our mode shift goals there. Another one, 2nd Street downtown, similar. We're able to retrofit in a protected bikeway in this corridor. Upper Harbor Terminal, where we're able to, at the outset, provide for all the modes and all the people and how they want to get around this new area in partnership with our partner agencies. And then 2 examples here, one on Lake Street, looking at transit priority lanes here, and a huge safety improvement on Lake Street, which was our highest injury street prior to installing this, and I'm assuming it's no longer going to be our highest injury street with this 4-to-3 conversion, bus lane, and associated pedestrian improvements that we partnered with the county and Metro Transit on. And a more recent project, the Hennepin-Lyndale Transit Priority Project, full-time transit lanes, which is making that connection between downtown and uptown an easier one for those taking transit. All right, the rest of this presentation is going over the 10 tracking indicators and key metric. The first 5 tracking indicators are things that we influence but don't have direct control over. There's a lot of influencing factors here. Mode split, I am sorry to say I do not have the data for this one. This comes from Met Council, and we worked very hard to get it. But that data that they have is not yet finalized. It comes from the travel behavior inventory. So this is showing our 2022 report back slide. We are working with them hard to get the data, and we will certainly put it on our website when we have it and update this statistic. Safety, monitoring the number of severe injury and fatal crashes. These numbers have gone up since COVID and remain high. And our Vision Zero works and efforts are aimed to reverse that trend. Our greenhouse gas emissions tracking, we remained fairly constant from our 2022 report back to now. We do show a reduction from our baseline in 2006, and we need more dramatic decreases over the coming years to meet, first, our original TAP goal of 80% reduction by 2050, but also as we look to align with the Climate Equity Plan, which is a carbon neutral by 2050 with interim goals shown here in gray, we need to be even doing more dramatic work to reach those goals. We're also tracking the transit proximity. So this is the percent of population within walking distance of high-frequency transit. You can see that between 2022 and 2024, our percentages actually went down. That's not because transit service was discontinued in any of these lines. There were no new additions, although there's a lot in the works. And our report back 2 years from now will show a really large increase here in terms of the lines on the map. But this is probably more a result of population and people moving to places that they're not within those 5 or 10-minute walks of transit. Our VMT reduction goal, 500 million less vehicle miles traveled in 2030 than our baseline year of 2018. We do see a reduction of 225 million miles per year, and we've got more work to do. And in order to reach our 2030 goal, that would look like the average person in Minneapolis reducing about 3 miles, it's just under 3 miles per day, from about 14 miles a day to 11 miles a day. All right, moving to our 5 key metrics. This slide's the most complicated, so I'm just gonna give a high-level summary of it. The metric here is that we are progressing at the same rate, at least the same rate within our transportation equity priorities areas as we are our overall city rate for progress on our improvements along our pedestrian priority network, our AAA network, our transit priority projects, and so on. And so this summarizes, and the highlight here really is that we are doing that. We are investing largely at least the same rate in our TEP areas. And as you can see by these numbers, like for example, the pedestrian realm miles of improvements, we have completed just over 12 miles in our TEP areas 1 and 2. That's 64% of the 19 miles that are outlined within our which would be that equivalent percentage of street miles for our 100-mile goal. So this is showing nice results, I would say. This slide looks at all of the actions that we have completed throughout the last 4 years. And again, high level, I'll just call out that we are nearing 3/4 of all the 325 actions as either complete, ongoing, or in progress within these first 4 years. So that's a pretty steady clip. Certainly there's more work to do, but there is a lot of work that we have been diligently working on. Since our last report back, 15 more actions complete, 33 more successful and ongoing complete to date. A lot of the actions within the Transportation Action Plan are not things that we do and we're done with. They're things we do and then we do again and again and again. They're about how we do our business and how we approach our work. So that is a good end state to be in, that ongoing and successfully completed to date line. And then we also just broke it down by different years so you could see those different cutoffs, as well as the do actions, which is in contrast to those support actions, which are really led by our partner agencies. There are 2 goals within the pedestrian improvements that we track. One is 100 miles of ped realm improvements, and then the second is 3,800 pedestrian intersection corner improvements. Here is the breakdown by year. And what I'll note is that for the top one, the 100 miles of ped realm improvements, this includes, we've completed about 40% of our goal in 4 years. So that is tracking well. And then in terms of the intersections, we're at about 30%, so a little shy, but we're making good progress there. And then I'll just note, in case anyone's really looking deep into this, our 2022 report back, we did not have our ADA ramps included in that bottom part numbers. And with the improvements to our data collection and whatnot, it's an important piece to input into this data and show and reflect in terms of improvements, because that is a huge improvement for any intersection. So this is our bike network, and the goal is to complete the network by 2030. We started at 146 miles of a 286-mile network. We have completed 30.8 new miles. That's about 21% of that delta of the goal. And I think I've got okay, so here you can see the pre-TAP network, excuse me. In 2020, you can see in pink the added lines of where the bike network was expanding, 2021, 2, 3, and 4. Some notable additions in 2023 and 4, which is the focus of this report back. Osseo Road, shared use path, the Upper Harbor, Bryant, Park Avenue as a connector, 37th Ave Northeast, Hennepin First, Lake Street, Lowry. There's a whole suite of projects that have come online and we will continue to see come online over the coming years. And then the last metric is our transit priority projects. In the TAP, we have 25 different corridors with transit priority projects identified on them. In 2022, we actually reported 7, but we had done 8, so we caught that error. And in 2024, we're at 12, so we're at almost half of progress or completed work on these transit priority projects through our Better Bus Route program, or Metro Transit's Better Bus Route program that we partner with them on, as well as the BRT lines that are coming online and planning work for both the Blue Line LRT and the Nicollet Central Corridor through the F line and future Nicollet extension. So that's a lot of work that, again, many people have contributed to, and I do have a report back also on our racial equity framework, but if there are any questions maybe on this, I could pause here.
Any questions on this first piece? We can move on to we could keep going to the next, the next part.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Will. So this is the same structure of a presentation, and I will start while Will is doing that by just framing, yeah, perfect, thank you. Okay, framing up this work. So this is a new approach for working within Public Works, having this racial equity framework. We're learning as we go, and so that's just an important part of the framing in terms of looking at this work. And this, similar to the TAP, is not fiscally constrained, and it's an ambitious, set of actions, 65 actions across numerous strategies to accomplish in line with that 2030 horizon year of the TAP. So some of the highlights to go over from the last 2 years is the creation and the maintenance of our transportation equity dashboard. This is a resource that exists for the public as well as our project staff within the city, and it includes a lot of data, GIS layers, demographic info. We recently just added breakdown by limited English speaking household demographics and more disaggregated data by race and ethnicity. So this is something that we spend time making sure is up to date and accurate. There are a number of engagement resources that we have really focused on over the past 2 years, and this is creating more standard ways of creating engagement goals, plans, and summaries for our staff, as well as standardizing demographic questions that we are asking when we're engaging with folks out in the on projects, so we're able to understand, are we matching the population and the communities we're in, and do we need to adjust our engagement approach, our strategy? We have updated our complete streets checklist, and this will be part of, this is something that is attached to our concept layouts that come through this committee. We've overhauled the organization and content of this. There's a place where we are summarizing engagement and the impacts of that engagement, and this is in direct reaction to the actions that were outlined in our racial equity framework. So that simplifies this, and it also makes it more readable and understandable for folks to understand the way the different pieces interact. We also have established a community street survey as a tool for our staff to use out in community. It's kind of like a walking audit, you may have heard of those, or biking audit. So as a template and a way to get out and kind of be out on site with folks, walk the corridor, bike the corridor, what have you, and solicit input that way. That is another tool in our toolbox when we are out soliciting feedback on projects. We are establishing an engagement consulting pool similar to our engineering consulting pool. We have an open RFP right now that's open for another few weeks. We've had great interest in terms of the pre-proposal meetings and folks being excited to learn more about this work. Similar to our public works engagement or consulting pool right now, we'll have 2 tiers with different caps. And we'll have the ability to select by community, neighborhood, language, that type of thing, and organizations will be able to say, I'm qualified to work in these neighborhoods or what have you. So really looking forward to trying this and seeing how it works, and so far, signs are looking positive. Okay, to wrap up here, we've got, similar to the TAP, we have 10 different tracking indicators and metrics. And right now, a lot of these are going to be kind of baseline as we're starting to track this work, and then we will see trends over time as we continue this monitoring and report back. So for severe and fatal injuries, we're looking for a change in overrepresentation of BIPOC residents. And you can see from our data here, right now, Black residents, Latino residents, and Native American residents are all overrepresented in terms of our fatal injuries in the city. Household income. We know there's impacts of income and transportation, so looking at the parity between white and BIPOC residents, and right now, the average white household's making 150% more than the average BIPOC household in Minneapolis. Commute time, we're looking at parity between white households and BIPOC households. There's not very much of a difference here right now, 0.2 minute difference, and that is different than data sources we had seen previously in terms of like pre-pandemic and whatnot, so this is an interesting one that we'll continue to track over time. Vehicle access is an important piece for us to be looking at as well. So the percent of households without access to a car by race, right now there's a 14% difference in terms of household access to vehicles between white and BIPOC residents in the city. And then finally, for the indicators, commute mode. So this is just looking at those commute trips. But you can see that white residents are more likely to drive alone or work from home, and BIPOC residents are more likely to be either carpooling, taking public transit, walking, and there's parity within the taxi cab and so on category. All right, finally, looking at the 5 key metrics. The first one is looking at our actions completed or in progress. So within our first 2 years of this time frame, 69% of all actions are either complete, ongoing, or in progress. And we are tracking pretty well as well for our 2 through 5 year actions, which is this year through 2027, with 50% of those actions complete, ongoing, or in progress. We're also tracking the number of community engagement contracts per year and the dollar value spent. So this is our first take at that, and we anticipate that this will go up with our community engagement consulting pool that should be in place shortly. This third one is looking at the diversity of public works staff in transportation business line divisions, or 4 transportation divisions, as well as public works as a whole, by race and grade. And so on the left, sorry, there's a lot of data here. On the left, we have our Minneapolis citywide racial breakdown, and then public works, and those are both in the red box. And then you can see by grade level, going to the right on the chart, how that changes. And while it's not a direct line, you've got some on the public works 3 in particular that is maybe an outlier here. You can see the general trend of moving away from our general citywide racial breakdown as you go higher up the ranks within public works. Again, there's that grade 3 and 4. Excluding that, you see the same trend with looking at just the transportation business lines as well. And I'll just note on both of these charts, there's a grouping on the far edge of multiple grades. So we will be tracking that over time as well. And then this one is similar to what was in the TAP in terms of looking at the miles of street improvements that we're doing in TEP areas 1 and 2, and that we're looking at those in the same rate. A little slightly different way of looking at the data here. Percent of total improved miles of all of the miles we did in TEP areas 1 and 2. So 9.1 in 2023, 34.5 in 2024 estimated. These are going to vary year to year, and we'll be looking over time at the average and see how we're trending over time. And then we've got the modal networks. Again, this is a kind of a breakdown of that one Transportation Action Plan report back. But what we're seeing here again is the same main point, which is that in general, we are progressing at least the same rate or higher within our TEP areas 1 and 2 as we are in our city overall. 19% of streets are in TEP 1 and 2, and you can see, street pedestrian intersection improvements, ped realm improvements are all 19 or above. Similarly, in the bikeway category, these are nearing 19%, and we'll continue to monitor this over time. Transit projects as well, we've got in TEP areas 1 and 2, we're seeing high rates of transit projects within those areas as we are tracking this. And so that concludes my presentation on both of those, reporting back over the last couple of years of progress for Public Works.
Thank you so much for the presentation, both of them. Really great to know that these incredible plans that are guiding your work are actually being tracked so diligently. And yeah, there's a lot of good news here. There's still a long way to go, but we've obviously come a long way. I was really interested in the mode shift goal because I know that was a top priority of the Transportation Action Plan, but I also feel like VMT also kind of gets at that same thing of really the goal here is like less vehicle miles traveled. And I just wanted to ask, you said that there was like an average of 14 vehicle miles traveled per person per day, and we're trying to get that down to 11. And then how do we capture that data? Like, how are we surveying that? Is it just Minneapolis residents, or is it all people in the city?
It's all people in the city. It's coming from MnDOT, and I'm looking over, yeah, MnDOT. Yep, so it's MnDOT collected data, but it is City of Minneapolis VMT.
Okay, so it's like trips in the city, but it's
Yep.
not based on Minneapolis residents per
No,
se.
Exactly, right. It's within the city limits.
Okay. And then how often do you report on these two plans? Is this a yearly?
Thanks for the question, Council Chair Cashman. We report back every 2 years and this level of detail. So we've done it in 2022 and then today.
Thanks. Those are the questions I have. Anything else from other committee members? Yeah, Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you. I don't have any specific questions, just a lot of gratitude for all the work that you put into this presentation. I was doing like different searches and looking for things as you were talking to just get a better understanding of the Transportation Action Plan and where we are in regards to the 10-year commitment around it. So just really appreciate you and your entire team for putting this together, and I'm going to process it a little bit and reach out for follow-ups if I have any.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for that. I'll direct the clerk to receive and file that report. Without objection, we have no further business to come up before us, so we stand adjourned. Thank you.